Hello and good evening to everybody watching. Welcome to tonight's virtual town hall with our very special guest, President Holloway. Tonight, you are going to learn a lot about our university, about the president, and we're going to have a little bit of fun along the way. To get everyone prepared, this session will be split into 3 rounds of questions for our president. But without further ado, I will hand it over to our guest, President Holloway, to introduce himself.
Hello, everybody. I'm looking at all the R's and mine's the only one that's backwards. So let me see. There we go. I feel better now. I was getting stressed out. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm looking forward to having some fun and introducing myself to all of this incredible talent that is listening and watching.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So just to introduce myself as one of your co-hosts tonight, my name is Sam. I'm the current senior here at Rutgers, and I'm from Eatontown, New Jersey, which is down by the Jersey Shore. I'm an exercise science major in our School of Environmental and Biological Sciences, a psychology minor through our School of Arts and Sciences, and I'm part of the very first class of our 8-year medical program between the Rutgers Honors College and the Robert Wood Johnson Medical School. So that's a little bit about me. I'm going to hand it over to my co-host, Khadijah, to introduce herself to all of you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Khadijah. I'm also a senior like Sam. I'm in the Rutgers Business School, currently double majoring in supply chain management and marketing. My hometown is South Brunswick, New Jersey, in Central Jersey. And I'm really excited to get to know you all today and learn a little bit more about our president.
So I'm going to interrupt. I'm not supposed to do this, but I forgot to mention where I'm from. A lot of Rutgers students don't realize the president lives on campus. So I'm technically from Piscataway. That's my home address. But Khadijah, you've already dropped a major thing. You said that you're from Central Jersey. I was like, that's a whole thing right now. So
it is. Maybe we'll get your opinion on it.
It exists.
It exists. All right, so to get us started with round 1, like Sam said, there are going to be 3 different rounds. Round 1 consists of all of your favorites, President Holloway. So I have a cute little Rutgers cup here. It has a bunch of different favorite options, so I'm just going to pick them out, and you can share some of your favorites with us. So let's get started. The first one is, let's see, your favorite sports team.
Well, that's easy. Anything with the R on it. I was actually just at, I try to get out to watch all the varsity sports, and today the schedule makes it hard, but today I was able to get baseball and softball in. I couldn't see the whole games, but baseball, I think last I checked, had the game in hand at 23-3. They are just having a monster season, and softball's about to come back against Seton Hall. They're down 5-3, and softball's actually having a great season as well. But I truly enjoy watching our athletes take the field. The president's house, by the way, is, I'd say, a 6-minute walk to the soccer stadium. And so I caught both men's and women's, but really enjoyed the women's team because they were 3rd place in the country at the end of the season. So it's fun to watch them strike fear in the hearts of anybody who dared to come to campus.
That's quite impressive. I think I heard the same basketball or baseball and softball game going on from my apartment because I live in the Livingston Apartments. I'm pretty sure I heard all the commentary. Awesome. Great to hear. All right. Your next favorite is, what is your favorite song that you have on repeat?
So this was hard to think about. Now, I did get, just so you know, people, I did get the questions in advance. I wouldn't be stuck. But I literally went to Spotify. I'm like, what am I listening to? And it kind of depends on the mood. In the fall, I listen to a lot of Roberta Flack's cover of Bridge Over Troubled Water, which is sung with the gospel choir. It's amazing. Recently, I like neo soul and soul. I was listening to a lot of Jill Scott's first album, and like the song Long Walk. That's just amazing. But to be honest, songs that repeat, I can't tell you which song, but it is embarrassing how often I just put on Hamilton and would just listen to it like straight through. You name a song and I just start to, next thing you know, my head's bopping and things like that. It's an amazing score.
That's awesome. I'm sure all of our theater fans love that you love Hamilton.
Love Hamilton.
All right, next up, might be a tricky one. What's your favorite color?
Could be scarlet, could be. But, honestly, when I'm not doing the whole president's thing, color is a really important issue. So there's a color that I always called Grandma Blue. She had this cup that was my cup when I went to her house. That was my signed cup. And it wasn't blue, it wasn't green, it wasn't gray, it was somewhere in the middle. So Grandma Blue, actually, Khadija, is not far from your scarf that you're wearing, to be honest. At least it seems that way to me. Um, so that's like a really personal, private favorite color. But the amount of scarlet or something that has scarlet on it, like my R right now, or my wristband, that's kind of important part of my palette.
Awesome. I think half the clothes I own are probably scarlet at this point because of uniform.
Yep.
All right. This next favorite is very relevant to your background, seeing as you have lots of books. Which one would you say is your favorite book?
Now, just for the record, the background, that's real. This is not a fake background. Some people might wonder. I've been asked if it's fake. No, I can pull those books off the shelves. In fact, you can see some more of my scarlet attire over. I can't do it in a mirror way. There it is. But one of I'm a professor of history and work in African American studies. And a book I read in my first year of grad school changed my scholarly direction. And it's not a book I expect anybody here to know. It's by the author Ralph Ellison, who's very famous for writing the book Invisible Man, his one novel that was sort of seen as the American classic. But he wrote a book of essays called Shadow and Act. You'd have to be more of a specialist in my area to know it, but the reason I mention is because there aren't many times when you read something that like you have to sit and just be quiet with it afterwards, like for a good long while. And I read this book in 1991, and I still, after I read some of the essays, have to be quiet and process the things that he was talking about. So that has to be my favorite book. Really, really quite wonderful.
Is it on the shelf back there?
Oh, I have like 3 copies of it.
I love that. All right, your next favorite. What has been your favorite Rutgers experience so far?
Quite honestly, now this may sound like I'm pandering to the audience, but it is absolutely true. So I joined Rutgers on July 1st, 2020. And my first press conference a few days later was one where I announced, by the way, we're going remote for the entire year. Most popular guy in the world, not at all. And we had to do it for health and safety reasons. And it was the right decision, but very painful. But this past August when the involvement fair, like the big activity fair in New Brunswick, was being held, and I'd never seen so many Rutgers students, like in my entire Rutgers career. I mean, I hadn't seen anybody for a year. And to see all the students up College Avenue, up Voorhees Mall, I could only stay there for 45 minutes, had to go to another event, but I wanted to stay there for hours. Just all the different organizations, cultural groups, political groups, math and engineering groups, social service groups, social groups. That to me was like, okay, this is why I came to Rutgers.
Yeah, I will say, I think I speak on Sam's behalf as well when I say that the Involvement Fair really is one of our favorite events. You see the entire Rutgers community in like a 3-hour period, and you're like, I didn't realize there were so many Scarlet Nights.
Yes.
All right, next up, your next favorite is, what is your favorite place to travel?
Oh, well, so my favorite place to travel is someplace I've not been yet, but I'm heading out on Friday night. I gave up my spring break doing work stuff. So I'm taking a few days right now before the most intense part of the commencement season starts. And I'm going to Lisbon in Portugal. Now, the reason I'm going there is that my wife is now in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean on a clipper ship, a 5-masted, like big tall ship. It's been her mother's dream to like travel the Atlantic on a sail. I guess it's a sailboat. It's a tall ship. And so although my wife did not want to do this at all, it's terrifying. I declined because I'm extra terrified of that. I thought, honey, I'll meet you on the other side. So she's going to be there on Monday and I'm flying over. I haven't seen my wife in 2 weeks. So that's why this is my favorite trip coming up.
Well, that does sound pretty adventurous. Can't imagine a sailboat. All right.
Nope, not for me. No
Not
offense
for
to
me
the
either.
sailors, but if I can't swim to the shore, I don't want to be on it.
Nope. All right. Almost done with our favorites. Second to last one is, what is your favorite binge-worthy TV show?
Oh man. So another one I was stumped on because I've like, when you have like 6 books you're reading at the same time, I have a whole bunch of different things I'm watching at the same time. So it's not my favorite. It was good, but like I just finished watching Severance. I'm going to finish watching Killing Eve in a couple of days, I think. They're stored. Um, but the show that has really overtaken us, I mean, I've watched it all, is Ted Lasso. And these are hard times, right? We're living in a really difficult moment. And I sat down to watch Ted Lasso my first year. My wife and I, she was in Illinois, I was here because our son was in finishing high school. And so I'm like, well, they say it's a feel good show. I need to feel good. And I sat down and watched maybe 3 episodes, like right in a row, and told my wife. And then uh, she won't stop watching it. Like we were all caught up, but she like, if I can't find her, she's upstairs watching Ted Lasso because I need to feel good. And so has to be Ted Lasso.
Okay, we all love a feel-good show. I haven't
Yes.
watched it, but I feel like that's getting added to my ever-growing list.
You got to watch Ted Lasso. Come on.
All right,
Come on.
I'll add it to my list. All right, and last but not least, within our favorites category is what is your favorite New Jersey cultural phenomenon?
This is actually hard for me to answer since I got here during a pandemic. This room you all see, this is where I ran Rutgers for my first year because I was in travel quarantine all year. I couldn't leave the house except to get groceries. So, I've not had the experience of going to the shore yet. I've not had other sort of signature experiences. But what has been really fun is starting now to get to explore the garden, the garden part of the Garden State. It's a beautiful, I mean, most of you from New Jersey, you know this already. It's a beautiful state. And so for me, sort of doing what I'll call the counter programming from people think of New Jersey, that's the fun stuff. In fact, in 2 weeks, it's sort of my bucket list. People kept talking about Holland Ridge Tulip Pick Your Own Farm or something like that. I don't think I said it quite right. So I bought tickets. It's like the largest tulip collection outside of was it Netherlands? I can't remember, in Europe. This is embarrassing.
I just know it's amazing.
Yeah, this is where Google needs to help us out. So I'm going to go to Holland Ridge Farm. So that's going to be the next awesome thing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of your favorites. This concludes round one. I'm going to hand things over to Sam to get us started with round two.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd like to echo Khadijah's sentiment. Thank you for telling us all that information about yourself. So our second round in true Rutgers fashion is entitled, Are You Ready? And we're going to dive into some Rutgers specific questions, really get down into the nitty gritty of things here. So my first question for you, President Holloway, is what is your vision for Rutgers as you move forward as president?
That's a great question. When I was announced in January of 2020, I had a couple of days notice and I was told, just pull your thoughts together. And so I wrote a short comment. I flew out to New Brunswick to introduce myself. And what I wrote then was heartfelt, but I also thought I would say it once and then that would be it. And one of the things I talked about was my aspiration for Rutgers to become a beloved community. Now, Rutgers is a huge university. It's one of the biggest in the country. New Brunswick is the largest part of the university by far. And so the idea of something like the word community seems kind of weird because we're so big and so complicated. And the idea of beloved seems hard also because we're so big. But, universities should be places where you go because you want to do hard things and you want to achieve great things through doing hard things. And so I start talking about the importance of a beloved community. It's not that we all will know each other. But it will mean that as being part of Rutgers, we recognize we share something in common. Sam and Khadijah, we share Rutgers in common, not just because we're all wearing the uniform today, but because we've been on the campus, we know the campus, we've been around. And that's really important because we aren't always going to agree, nor should we, frankly. That would be really kind of boring. But if we recognize we share something in common, the nature of the disagreement will be much different. And I believe these things deeply. And I said some of this during my introduction. And when I came back a few months later, 5 months later, to start my job, people said, for my day one message, are you going to talk with the beloved community? I'm like, well, no, that was just my January introduction. And they said something really powerful and said, people, that really resonated. People want to hear that again. And I think it's because we are going through a tough time in this country and in this world. And I think we are looking, no matter your political position, no matter what you look like, no matter where you're from, we're looking for something that is reassuring, that says that we are part of something together. And so for me, a beloved community is actually now one of the centerpieces of my administrative goals. And will we ever achieve it? I don't think it's the kind of thing you achieve. I think you are always pursuing it. And it's that work of pursuit that makes things beloved. And it's hard work, but I think it's really special work, because it means if we're really living a beloved community, we're still going to disagree about things, absolutely, but we'll recognize one another. Like we will see one another, and being recognized and acknowledged, boy, we are all in sore need of that. And so that really is, especially from the undergrad perspective, that's what I want you all to take away, that this is a place where we are going to aspire to have a beloved community.
Awesome. And personally, as a student, I feel that events like you talked about before with the involvement fair, where you really get to see all of Rutgers out at once, is a really meaningful step towards that goal. To move forward to our next question, I'd like to ask you, what is your favorite thing about the Rutgers New Brunswick campus?
It's like, which child do you like the best? I mean, come on. I mean, the campus, as you all know, is so many different campuses and different kinds of neighborhoods, sort of the way I think of it. And right now I'm on Bush campus and looking out a window off camera, and looking out on a beautiful sort of like a garden setting where my house is. And that's a beautiful scene. A deer are going to be walking by soon, and later on the foxes, whatever the plural of foxes doesn't sound right now. But so Bush campus is where I live. That's my home. But there are places of real beauty dotted all over the place. So it kind of depends on my mood, to be honest. I can sing the praises of all different types of things. I actually went to, for instance, Henry's Diner on Livingston campus for the first time. It hadn't been open since I've been here. I went into the diner. Man, that was fabulous. And great food, great ambiance. And then last week I was in Brower Commons, not the most beautiful building in the world. When you walk in, for the first time, it's amazing. You walk into Brower, and the energy of the staff being so happy to work with the students was completely infectious. And then I think tomorrow I'm in Nielsen Dining Hall as a judge for a dining competition. So, I don't have a favorite thing or a favorite kind of place or experience, but it's like it's like a buffet. There's different things you can sample, and you can find really wonderful things at wherever you happen to be.
Awesome, thank you. So you talked about a little bit about your favorite spots across campus. If I was an incoming student looking for a nice, quiet place on the Rutgers New Brunswick campus, where would you recommend that I go?
So I did overlap a little bit. So, I got to cover all the campuses, though. I mean, Bush is a lot of sports, a lot of engineering, but it's actually I walk my dogs every morning, and it's just a nice, quiet, sort of relaxing pace. Some may call it sleepy, but I think it's far from sleepy considering how much sweat is being done on the field and in the laboratories here. So there's that element that Bush. I mean, Livingston, from what I'm told, used to be the place people didn't want to go, but it's like the hot scene now with all the different sort of fancy things going on in Livingston, and more to come on that front. And I've done kind of a lot of events in the student center on Livy, and the Rutgers Club is there. So that's all cool. College Avenue is sort of the nerve center. But I'm 54. And so when you guys are up past my bedtime, which is what a lot of college Ave will be like doing that sort of stuff, I'm like, I don't want to know. I just want to go to bed. Let you guys have your 20-year-old fun. But I will say, when I'm there on College Avenue, my favorite spot is the Voorhees Mall. I mean, it's just beautiful. It just feels like classic college quadrangle kind of thing. Then you go over to Douglas, which I think is the prettiest of the campuses. Very sort of country, suburban heading to country, classic small liberal arts feel to it, just beautiful. And then you go to Cook, and Cook is where I learned how to milk goats. So, you can't take that away from that. And if you like farm animals, if you like, I mean, really, it's a big research campus as well. But if you just want to, if looking at horses and pigs and goats will make you feel better, Cook is the place to be honest.
Awesome. We truly do have one of the most unique campuses in the country, and that's something that I really love about Rutgers. To switch gears a little bit, pivoting a little bit away from the university and more towards you, when you're not being presidential with your busy schedule, what is it that you like to do in your free time?
Being president's a kind of a 24/7 thing, so it's a little bit hard, but there are days when I mean, like I like going to Rutgers student events, frankly. I mean, like on the weekends, I'll be going to a performance, or I'll be going to, I was just watching, it's not the weekend, but I stole some time away to watch baseball and softball. Yeah, I'm still the president, but that's actually really fun and entertaining. But so I'm thinking like just my family, we will, I mean, my wife and I, we have a 22-year-old and a 19-year-old. One just graduated from college, one's wrapping up his freshman year. And when we get together, we just kind of nerd out, to be honest. So like, we'll watch Ted Lasso together and have a fantastic time. Although I'm actually kind of upset with my wife and daughter, because after years of trying, our daughter got my wife to start watching Gilmore Girls, and I refuse. I just can't do it. And it's like 8 seasons or something like that. So they're like every night I feel totally neglected. Before my wife left to go to cross the Atlantic, it was Gilmore Girls every night. So I had to entertain myself. So now I'm getting over feeling sorry for myself. When we are together as a family, we'll play board games. I mean, there's a game, we call it the train game, but it's called Ticket to Ride is the actual name. There's another game. I love Monopoly, but kind of, you can't really, Monopoly takes a long time if you're doing it right. So there's a game, it's a Monopoly on a card game, but I can't remember what it's called. We call it, we make up names for our game, sorry, but we'll play that game. So you can play a game of Monopoly in like 15 minutes. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff we like to do. Really kind of old-fashioned family stuff, to be honest.
Very nice. All right, and then my last question for you is part of round 2 here. So Khadijah and I will be graduating this May, but you'll still be here. So my question for you is, what are you most looking forward to at Rutgers for the upcoming academic year?
Well, it's been great. I mentioned the involvement fair being so wonderful to see all these people. And I've been going to, football games or performances, seeing more and more people. But from what I'm told, we are still not back to like the full Rutgers experience. Now some parts of it are kind of tough because, when I get behind a bus between class sessions, that can be kind of brutal, but I'm told that it's still not back to peak. So I'm really looking like, all right, let's go, let's bring it on. And so this incoming class, all of you who are listening can be part of really making Rutgers again. So I'm really excited about that. And and I'm also teaching a burn seminar in the fall. I forgot about that. So my job for this year and last year was all about navigating COVID. I mean, every single meeting was talking about and trying to find a way through. And because of that, and because of a lot of remote things, I really have only started to meet students this semester in any real numbers. Involvement fair is great, but I wasn't meeting people individually. That's what's happened this semester. So next semester, I'll be, the burn seminar is these small seminars, I think they're capped at maybe 20 for first-year students. And so I'll be doing a 5-part burn seminar based on my most recent book called The Cause of Freedom, A Concise History of African Americans. So I don't know how the application process works. I'm not involved in that, but I'm looking forward to just sitting down and talking with students about something that I care about as a non-presidential piece of work.
Well, thank you so much for participating in round 2 of our questions. I'm going to send it back over to Khadijah to introduce round 3.
All right.
All right, round 3 is going to be a little bit more of speed style. We're going to do a quick this or that. So Sam and I will go back and forth stating 2 different opposing sides. Think carefully, choose what you think. However, be honest. It's okay. Might isolate some people, might not. Don't worry. We'll be inclusive, but we're going to...
Am I allowed to editorialize or just have to give the answer?
Sam, what do you think?
I'm the president. I'm going to do what I want.
I think you can do whatever you want.
You can do what he wants.
You can do what you want. All right, so we're going to do this or that. Sam, you want to start us off?
Cool. The first one, we're going to get real fiery right away. Pork roll or Taylor ham?
I don't know. I've had neither. But I know the answer is, the official answer is Taylor ham pork roll. That's what it is. I've not had it. I don't know what I'm talking about.
All right, next one. Chicago deep dish pizza or New York style pizza?
Easy, New York. Easy. Super easy.
Fantastic.
I agree.
All right, next question is 2 New Jersey legends for you. Bruce Springsteen or Bon Jovi?
Okay. This is going to take a little bit. So, I know their classic music growing up. That's when they were performing it for the first time. But I have to go with Bon Jovi. And the reason why, although I probably know more Springsteen songs, is because I had an incredible Jersey moment when I was at dinner at the governor's house, private dinner. Bon Jovi was invited, but he was actually at the Grammys, and his wife came instead. And they're good friends. So I was there with Mrs. Bon Giovanni. And the other person joining us, other couple, was Cory Booker and Rosario Dawson, his partner. So, until Springsteen steps up and has dinner with me, it has to be Bon Jovi. And yeah, I had to explain that whole story because even though I was just a guest, it's a total humble brag. And so I'm just going to go with that. I was trying to play it very cool all night, but that was, an interesting challenge in and of itself.
I think having dinner with the star definitely makes him win that. All right, your next this or that is pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No, stop. No. Don't even finish.
I agree.
The
Thank you. I had to take a deep breath before doing that one.
Nice and easy one there. So this next question we've actually touched on already, but we are interested to hear your opinion. Central Jersey, does it exist or does it not exist?
My friends, it has to exist. Without its existence, I disappear. It's like a Descartesian dilemma. So, the thing is, when I was coming into the state, people were saying, oh, the North and the South. I'm like, please, nothing can be. I'm from the upper South in the United States. Like, nothing can be that serious. Boy, was I wrong. So I'm just from the center. I'm just trying to mind my own business, trying to, stay out of trouble. I'm in the center.
I agree. The center is a great place to be. All right, your next one. I know you did say that you didn't get a chance to go to the beach, but do you call it the beach or the shore?
Well, I know enough to call it the shore. But I was actually in a meeting the other day with a friend of mine who was from California, and their shore is the coast. And so she mentioned going to the coast, and these folks from New Jersey are like, what are you talking about? There's no coast in New Jersey. It's the shore. So now I have been to it, but in the off season, and I was in Atlantic Highlands, and where I must say, the best ice cream I've had in my life, although I can't remember the name of it right now. I know how to get to it though. So I can recommend the shore for the ice cream at this one place in Atlantic Highlands.
I support that answer as well. All right, next question, our 2 closest major cities, New York City or Philadelphia?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I can't hear you. There's no way to answer that question. It's an impossibility. I can hear you loud and clear. I'm living in denial. What's great is that if you're in New Brunswick, you just hop on the train, you're in New York in an hour. And if you're in New Brunswick, you hop on a different train, you're in Philadelphia in an hour and a half. So, go with what you love, and you can have it all if you're at Rutgers. How's that for a non-answer answer?
The next one's
Pretty
not
good
gonna
one.
make more friends either.
All right, to end us with our this or that, Giants or Eagles?
See, as much as I was trying to avoid the whole New York or Philly thing, it's going to have to be the Giants. I mean, just even though, man, they are hard to watch. Um, that's just I can't explain it. I was in Connecticut for about 20 years, so I saw a lot of Giants football, and I guess it kind of got under the skin a little bit. So that's what I have to go with.
As a lifelong Giants fan, I love that answer. We were happy back in 2011.
The good
All
old
right.
days.
So thank you so much for participating in our this or that. So to wrap up our session tonight, the three of us are going to go through and provide our best piece of advice to all of you as incoming students coming into Rutgers for the best way to succeed. So I will start us off. And my piece of advice for all of you is to learn your resources and utilize your resources. And that really starts with attending our new student orientation over the summer, which is going to teach you everything that you need to know about Rutgers prior to stepping foot on campus in September. But as a senior here, having spent the last 4 years at the university, I can tell you that the resources here to help you succeed are immense. If you're struggling in a class, we offer free tutoring to our students. You're given dedicated academic advisors for your school and for your major. And thinking about your future, we have our career exploration and success department and our Rutgers Handshake app, which is basically just a Rutgers specific version of LinkedIn. If you're just looking for a good time, we have our 700 plus clubs and organizations. So when I tell you that as a big university, we have big university resources, I really truly do mean it. And they're going to help you in whatever goals you have for yourself in moving on. I've had an internship in my field. I've had a research position for 4 years. I'm going right to medical school at Rutgers, another 4 years in New Brunswick. So the university will definitely help you succeed no matter what your goals are. So that's my answer. Just to summarize again, learn the resources that Rutgers has to offer you and utilize those resources. Khadijah, advice?
I would say my advice for incoming students is to get involved outside of the classroom. Like Sam and myself, like we've had a lot of research opportunities, internship opportunities. We're also both Scarlet Ambassador captains. We've gotten involved in a lot of leadership positions outside of the classroom. And I think that a lot of the skills that I have learned, a lot of the skills that I have developed that are now going into the workplace have come from the classroom, but also come from all of these outside of the classroom resources. So like President Holloway mentioned, the involvement fair is a great way to kind of get to know what there is to do on campus. But if you can't attend, then utilizing the Get Involved website, another resource to see what clubs are out there, to see what interests you, to kind of hone in on those hobbies or interests that you're really looking to put on your resume, to make sure that at the end of your 4 years here, you're lined up with an amazing job. So getting involved really would be my biggest advice. And don't be afraid to do it by yourself. It's okay to not have a friend when you're going to a club. It's okay to go by yourself and kind of own that space and say that I'm here to learn even if I'm by myself. And President Holloway, what is your advice for first year students?
My advice is to listen to what Sam and Khadijah just said. I mean, quite honestly, that was really wonderful advice. And the last thing you said, Khadijah, is very important. You said, own your space, I think is what you said. What I was going to suggest is really along those lines. I don't know if I guess it is advice, is, as a student, you may come in and feel that you need to learn the community, which you have to do in all the ways that Sam and Khadijah suggested. And as a student, especially as a first year student, you may feel like you don't really have your voice yet, or you don't know how you fit in, and you really can't go to a professor, and you really can't, it's not right. You haven't earned the right yet to go do X, Y, or Z. The fact is, this place is here for you. It's like literally, it exists for you. And so, I mean, I do my work for all of you. And so the fact is, you have every right to claim it. That doesn't mean you get to set the rules. You don't. But you do have a voice in shaping the rules. It doesn't mean that you get to dictate the terms upon which you graduate. Like, no, you don't. I mean, you still are students, there are faculty. But there are so many ways in which you can declare that you deserve a certain set of experiences, or you deserve a certain set of access. And a lot of those things are already around, but you are going to be the one to have to activate it. And so you got to claim it, own your space. and avail yourself of the resources. That's really merging both the advice here from Khadijah and from Sam. And just remember, if you're ever in doubt, if you're feeling a little uncertain, just remember the president told you this place is yours. What you do with it at that point is going to be up to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And with that, this concludes our virtual town hall. Thank you all so much for tuning in to learn a little bit more about the president, learn a little bit more about our university. Just before we close out, a few reminders is that we are still, enrollment deadlines are May 1st. So if any part of our conversation today, you felt the Scarlet Pride that we all share, please go ahead and reach out if you have any questions about enrollment. But we really hope that you enjoyed the open house experience and that you learned a little bit more about Rutgers and took home some of that Scarlet Pride. So this is Khadijah, Sam, and President Holloway signing off.
Take care. Go Knights.